We begin this Sunday morning with no economic cheer this holiday season as Americans are grappling with an inflation rate of a near 40-year high. The sharp rise in prices is being felt everywhere from grocery stores to gas stations. Last month, inflation came in at 7.7%, nowhere near the Fed's target rate of 2%. This comes as President Biden continues to drain the Strategic Petroleum Reserve amid his push for green energy, which has caused gas prices to skyrocket. Here's Wyoming Republican Senator John Barrasso speaking with Maria last Sunday.
But in terms of the energy policy, Wyoming is an energy state. Are you going to be able to get the business back up again? This administration continues to say that it's the oil companies' fault instead of their own policy.
It's the policies of this administration. The good news is, with Republicans in charge of the House, we can stop any additional taxes on oil and gas. But the energy is what's part of the driving of the inflation.
And joining me now on all this is South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. Governor, good to see you. And
yes.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and Brian and the family.
It was wonderful. I hope yours was too as well. And Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Yes. I want to get your take on this because, Senator Barrasso is saying, listen, with Republicans taking control of the House, you're going to see no new taxes, no more bad policy on oil and gas. The problem, though, Governor, is, and you were a Congresswoman, is that you have 2 years of bad policies that have come from Democrats and Joe Biden. Can we roll those policies back?
It's difficult to roll them back until you get the White House and you get a Republican-controlled Senate as well. I, as a governor, can do what I can to try to protect the people here in South Dakota. But listen, this White House also can pass fees, new fines and penalties against oil companies, new regulations, that all of that gets passed on to the consumer. And when you look at many parts of this country, people don't have the option to not drive a long ways to take their kids to school or to go get groceries. Or in states like yours and mine, it's pretty chilly here in January and February, and they have to heat their homes and keep their families warm. So it's going to be an incredible challenge. Thankfully, we have a House that can continue to now hold hearings and do what they can to stop future bad policies. But boy, I tell you what, an administration like this White House can do a lot of damage just from the inside as well.
Yeah, you're right. They can stop the permitting process, giving new leases, and that just comes from Joe Biden himself. But you mentioned the cost of heating fuel oil is up 68.5%, natural gas up 20%, electricity up 14%. South Dakota, it's a cold place. I come from Wisconsin. It's cold. Impact on people who are living near the line, Governor, economically, don't have a lot of disposable income. How do they navigate this winter?
You know, it's challenging because I was just getting groceries yesterday, and I was in 4 different stores because I was running errands for my family, and it was a conversation everywhere I went. It was a conversation around our Thanksgiving Day dinner tables. I'm sure it was yours, but with people that are standing in line with their hands full of coupons. And I've watched people over and over and over again the last several months in grocery store lines that had to go put something back. I went into grocery stores and I ran the checkout register over the last several months and checked out groceries, and I'd say 1 out of 4 people didn't have enough money to pay the bill and turned around and had to go put something away, or me or somebody else gave them $1 or $2 to finish their grocery store bill so they could go home with their purchases. But that's the reality of what people are dealing with now. They cannot get what they used to get with the dollars in their pocket. They're doing as much as they can, but many of them are sitting there going, man, my kid needs a winter coat. I got basketball season come up and my 10-year-old needed a new pair of shoes. They're having some tough conversations right now, and it's because of Joe Biden.
Well, Governor, you mentioned the costs of prices in grocery stores. That actually, that food comes from farms in places like South Dakota. And if you look at the spike in diesel prices, and our farmers are ranchers, they use trucks and tractors. They ship them on semis, all using diesel. If there's a hope that Biden is going to somehow stem inflation, he's not going to do that until he can bring down the price of oil and gas, which means we need to pump more here in America.
And we see him doing more to do bad deals and incentivize Venezuelan oil rather than American clean energy. So he's doubling down on very bad policies that are impacting families here incredibly every single day. So in South Dakota, we grow a lot of the world's food. We just do. We feed people. And when you drive up fuel costs, like they have in diesel and gas, that is impacting farmers and how they take care of their families, but how they get your food to the processors that put it on the grocery store shelves. And a lot of that is just passed on. And remember, a lot of these farmers, they don't have a lot of money in the bank to go out and put the seed, the fertilizer, and the chemical in the ground. They're borrowing that from the bank. So they're going out and getting operating notes at higher interest rates because of Joe Biden and borrowing it and putting it in the dirt and hoping that they can grow your food and give it to you in a way that helps them cash flow. We can't have our farmers go out of business because they grow our food in this country. And when another country grows our food and supplies it, that's when they control us. And so that's the reality of the long-term plan of policy and how it impacts our security as a nation.
100%. And to that point, Governor, we've heard stories now where the Chinese are coming in and buying up huge plots of land. Much of this land is by U.S. military bases. Joe Biden has done nothing to address this land purchase by the Chinese. Is there something that governors can do to stop these land purchases?
Yes, there's some, but we have to look at what the long-term agenda has been of China. They've already bought up a lot of our fertilizer companies, a lot of our chemical companies, our processing systems. Now they're buying land, and they have been doing that for quite some time. In South Dakota, we have a state law that limits the amount of land a foreign entity can purchase, but we're going to reevaluate that. And we're also going to look at leases. Because China's come in and proposed long-term leases, 50-year leases on land, that's dangerous as well. So we're going through all of those state statutes and making sure that they're protecting our state. I hope every single governor is doing that as well.
I do too, making sure we have governors who are focused on making sure they protect the homeland. One last question for you. Obviously, there's going to be a race for the head of the RNC, right? Ronna McDaniel has that seat now. Where do you see the future of the GOP going? Do you support Ronna McDaniel? Should someone else have that position? This is the lead spot of running campaigns and raising money. How should the GOP move forward?
Listen, Sean, we need to win. I mean, that's just the fact. Our kids' future depends on it. So, we really all have a responsibility to message what Republican policies bring to this country. And I don't know a party that can continue to lose like we have and keep their jobs. Everybody needs to evaluate what we are doing and is it effective, and are we messaging truly that our policies work? Listen, we ran against Joe Biden in this last election. I had a big win here in South Dakota, but I didn't just talk about how bad Joe Biden was. I talked about all the good things we did here in our state together, too. I talked about how Republican and conservative values worked. We have the strongest economy. Our kids are doing better than anywhere else in the country. We kept it open. We kept people free. Incomes are going up faster than anywhere else, and women are better off, and their businesses are more successful. We're knocking it out of the ballpark, Sean, and we did it, and we talked about it here in this state, and that's why we had an election that was big, and we're not just selling and talking about how bad Joe Biden is. We're also talking about hope and the future of this country, and boy, South Dakota is the bright spot everybody needs to look at.
Governor, you're right. You have to have a vision for your state or your country or your district. Right. Good for you for doing that, and congratulations on the win. I should have said that first.
Thank you.
Kristi Noem, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Sean.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.